So we're gonna get started. I think this is what we have today because Dario and Mark and who else? Brad cannot make it. Brad's Italy. Mark's got a call, and Dario's got clients. So, all right. So just want to do another intro. I know that Andre, this is your first call. Obviously, Chris, you know Andre, but Josh, if you guys can, just so we can see each other, if you want to put your video on, that helps just to kind of build the connection. But up to you guys on that. But Andre, if you just want to do like an intro about yourself, basically saying like who you are, where you're from, um, what you do, and then maybe like one thing you're looking to kind of get out of this group. You're muted, Andre. Let me unmute you.
No.
There you
Hooray.
go.
Hi. What's up, guys? Andre Cruz. Obviously, I know Chris. I know Mike. But I'm originally from D.C. Grew up in Virginia. Went to the University of Pittsburgh. Got my degree in finance. Worked in corporate banking for a few years. Hated my life, so I quit. And then I worked in random bartending, movie industry stuff for about a year. Found personal training in 2012 when Sinead and I moved up here to New Jersey. Started working at an LA Fitness, and then went to Equinox in Manhattan. Then CrossFit Union Square, and then opened up 150 Bay CrossFit in 2017. So we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. That's my life. And I have a wife named Sinead. It'll be 4 years at the end of this month, and then we have three. She'll be 4. Holly, my golden retriever, will be 4 at the end of this year or beginning of next year.
Murdering it.
And that's my life. That's my life.
And you guys missed the backstory. You didn't work today. Today's his day off.
I didn't work today. That is true. I did not work at all today. I just got back inside. Holly and I just were outside for like the last 2 hours. So I'm about to wipe her down because we were playing on the sand. She got a little dirty. So if you don't see me for a second, that's what I'm doing.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, Josh, do you want to give your double down real quick? I don't think we had you do it last night. Because you were late. Josh.
Yeah. I'm not sure my video.
Ooh. Hey, Josh, it's pretty broken up. Not good. I can hear you, but it's not great. It's probably slow. All right, we're gonna move on though. And if you get it back, just kind of type it. All right. So we're gonna keep along here. So just real quick, if you guys in the Slack app, I have those channels. So I'm gonna do weekly call briefs like this. A lot of it's not gonna change, but as we get more, we'll always do new member intros. And once again, what I'm looking from you guys during these stages is if you're seeing things in the meetings that we can improve upon. And obviously, at some point, I'd love to have we have right now. There's like 8 of us in this group. But it'd be really cool to have 15, 20, 30 people on a call. So I always want to try and give new members an opportunity, maybe a 2-minute kind of elevator thing, just get them out there, let them know who they are. And then we go into a 5-minute recap of last week. So for those of you who didn't see it, just a reminder in the Start Here guide, we have all the information you're going to need when you start this, or when you get in the group. So for instance, you could always look back at the weekly replays, and I'll post those in the group. But last week, we just kind of talked about my expectations for you guys is just offering feedback on how things are run, but also things we can improve upon, good feedback, bad feedback, anything constructive. Contribution, I'm trying to get this because I want to contribute to help other coaches, help other people, as well as obviously by doing that, it helps me. So just trying to make sure you come prepared to the calls, try and show up on time. You are here, engage, like we're here to get better. And then also connection. I have the Slack app. Josh helped set up the Instagram, so I know we're all on Instagram. But shoot a message. The coolest thing about this is I'm just trying to create the gateway so we can all connect. We have friendships and just be able to just pick up the phone or shoot a text or something. So all that stuff is in the Slack app. So the 2 big channels are the Start Here and the weekly calls is where I'm going to post a lot of the stuff. So what we talked about a lot last week was just looking at the growth plan, which I know you guys looked at, and I want to be able to go over those today. So my goal with everyone here is today we're going to go through the growth plans. Anybody, I'd like to just answer the questions that were in the weekly brief. And then by the end of, I'd like to kind of kick these growth plans off by Monday. So by the end of the weekend, I'd love for you guys to post in a PDF version or something in the growth plan tab, your name, the date, Q4, just so we all can kind of see what everyone's working on. And hold each other accountable. And if you have any questions, we can bounce off in that Slack app, because Slack app will archive everything. So you can always just go like growth plan channel, go in the search bar, say Mike Dewar growth plan, and it will pull up everything with my name tagged to that, and or vice versa. So any questions on last week or anything that I just covered, or any feedback with the channels? Everyone's on mute, so you just got to unmute yourself if you want to talk. If not, I'm going to move forward. Yeah, what's up, Chris?
Got it. It doesn't let me unmute myself. It's going to be up to you. I'll just raise my hand like this, which isn't safe when I'm driving, but whatever. Anyway, for the growth plan, are you saying that you want us to share that with everybody? Is that the goal?
Well, I mean, so here's the deal. Like, obviously, it could be personal, so you don't have to share it if that's where you want. I just want to make sure that my goal is, like, I'm going to put mine out there. Like, at this point, you guys know a lot about who I am, what I do, my life, things I need to work on. So if that's something you want to share, I just see the power and, like, the accountability, and we can always, like, if I'm struggling on something, Honor might be able to give me a tip. And it's just, we're kind of all in it. But I get something you want to work on and it's personal to you, then, don't need to put that in there. Whatever you're comfortable with.
No, I don't mind. For example, like I did mine, and then in order to share it, do I just share it with your email and everyone's email, or how would that work?
So you can post everything right in Slack. Like,
because I transferred it to Google Sheets and then did it there. You want me to do it right on Slack?
So if you in Google Sheets, you can actually just go to File and you can share it, and you can do share as a PDF. So or download it as a PDF, and then you have the download PDF file. You can upload right into Slack.
Okay, yeah, I'll do Slack.
You can upload files and everything in there.
I'll just transfer everything to Slack, because if I'm gonna be uploading as a PDF, then people won't see as I update it, right?
That's
I would
true.
have to update it over and over.
The link in there. You could just share your share link and just make sure it's viewable by whoever has the link. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Cool.
All right. Cool. So weekly questions. Gonna run down through the brief here. So I'm just gonna throw out the question, and then if you have something here, we can all kind of weigh in. Josh, how's your audio?
I can hear you guys fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's way better, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before he sounded like a robot.
Yeah.
Sounded like a robot who was dying.
My bad, guys.
Except we can't see that face of yours, kid.
Well, yes, I'm used to this here.
Yeah. All right. We're going to go to weekly questions. Just kind of keep moving. So after doing your guys' growth plan, what did this help you discover about your overall development, and what things you need to improve upon? And then more importantly, why do you feel it's important for you to improve upon that? Does anybody got anything? You can just go whenever.
Yeah. I know for me, one thing that stood out immediately is, and I kind of actually used your template as a guideline. Like for myself, I'm pretty okay with like kind of where my headspace is. But one thing that I've kind of had to take on a lot of over the last couple of years is when I opened 150 Bay CrossFit, Sinead also started her job as a director of school counseling. So her job is like even more crazy and ridiculous than being a business owner, right? She has 9 schools, 30 something counselors, 9 nurses, and like 6,000 kids that she's in charge of. So like one of my main things that I've been trying to, and this has kind of made me think about it, is trying to be better in my free time and utilizing it to do stuff so that when we do have time together, which is really kind of rare, like we pretty much only have Saturday afternoons and Sundays to actually physically be together and not have to physically be somewhere, have to work. So I'm trying to get more efficient with my downtime, whereas like I might just, on a day like today, I might just like take a nap and completely relax or like watch Netflix. But I want to start getting more efficient at doing work that I would normally do on a Sunday when I'm sitting around, so that I don't have to be attached to my phone or to my laptop when it's like one of the only times during the week that I get to physically hang out with her. So I really like that aspect of it, kind of thinking about how I can make my life more efficient so that it makes our relationship better, and it really kind of helps to support her and everything that she's doing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And it's cool because it's kind of hitting. I mean, you're able to connect with your wife longer. You're also, I'm sure you're still contributing in different ways. So, yeah, man, that's good shit. And it's cool to see that because a lot of these things you're gonna notice like they blend together. So just trying to hit, just pick one category to put that in. But it all, as we all know, it all goes together. Cool. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think same for me. Like right now, I'm doing pretty good with the company I work with. I get to travel and be a really good resource for people that need it. And then on my off time, when I'm here in Miami, I have a good amount of clients that I work with consistently. So I'm kind of like in chill mode. I travel, I work, I get back, I have my clients. It's very, very easy to get complacent. I'm making good money. But when I start answering those questions, I start thinking about the longevity plan. Like at first, one of the things that I was banking on was I'm going to open up a space similar to what like Andre did. But then I kind of unmarried from that idea of, going through the whole startup process and just kind of maybe trying to do something more along the lines of what Mike's doing. So now that it's on paper and it's in front of me and it's a little bit clearer, I'm like, shit, I got some work to do during my downtime. And just make the most out of it so that I'm coming up with something that's going to be long lasting. Because right now I'm kind of like, okay, Workly, the company I work with, it's still young. We're only 3 or 4 years old. It's valued at like 7 mil. It's growing super fast. I'm their lead coach. I've been there since day one. And we just signed Amazon as a client. Like it's very likely that this could be the thing that I can do for the rest of my life. But is it something that I'm going to want to do for the rest of my life? I like to have something else to kind of fall back on. So I want to start working on that.
Cool. Awesome. Cool. All right. And then I guess I'll go. So in our side chat, I'm called Do Too Much. So how you guys are trying to fill your day and be a little more efficient, I sometimes can be super go. So I'm actually trying to do the inverse. So since I moved back to Ohio, do less, right? And it's weird. So like, it's so like myself as I'm trying to, so a lot of it is like just trying to be able to turn off that's like flip that switch when I walk into the door and just kind of mentally just say, hey, like work's over. Because I mean, in the city, like obviously somebody's always working. So you could always get sucked into it. We're here. It's most of the time, like by 7 o'clock, everyone's home. Like even if I send out an email, it's not getting answered. So what I was struggling with is trying to figure out the tactics that kind of do that, because my self vision is just like a more relaxed, and it's kind of hard as the vision to like objectify that. I could talk with Sarah and kind of have her give me like a subjective ranking of like, do I seem less stressed? Am I happier? Am I more present? Which I think is something like I've shared this vision plan or this growth plan with my wife, because obviously it impacts her. So it's kind of cool to like have her be a part of that. But my tactic for that, honestly, and it's been pretty good for the past like month or so, has been reading like at least 15 minutes a day, like either on my porch or before I go to bed or like in the mornings if I have time, or going on a walk. Like there's a lot more time that I can go like hiking and stuff, which it might only be like a 15-minute, like there's some parks by our gym. So just for me, like disconnecting, turning off the phone and just being kind of by myself. So those have been pretty helpful tactics, and they're like super basic on paper, but they're actually really difficult for me to like fucking put the phone down or like mentally check out and just be like, I'm gonna pick up a book and just read it. So that's been something that's been helpful for me. So like I'm gonna continue that, but I got to kind of work on when I post my sheet. I've kind of had myself and my contribution visions kind of blank, because I'm still kind of trying to figure out how I want to do that. But I'll let you guys know when I post it.
Cool.
Josh. Oh, sorry. All right, you're good, Josh.
Yeah, my bad for the failed connectivity earlier, but nice to meet you guys finally. So for me,
Nice to meet you, bro.
buckets left, I guess less than filled would be. Well, I'll explain. So there's what happened a few weeks ago was I went and spent time around like old college friends and people that are just genuinely like good people and buddies first, and then like they've become like successful entrepreneurs since. And I realized how much I was laughing being around them, even though we were talking about business. And then the dissonance that exists between like that experience and how I feel on a day to day. Like I think that the business is going like very well, approaching year 5, and all these things are in a row, but it's like at what cost, you know? So there's a little bit of like a personal psychology around the business success that I felt maybe either they were experiencing and I was not. I don't know if that's like a disposition I have, or like just the idea of me being around, I don't know, just like a different energy, so on and so forth. So the action point from there for me would be to be as effective or efficient or whatever as I am with the business as it exists today, but finding a little more self-efficacy, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So what are some things that, so obviously, so that's like the vision. So what's something that you're like, okay, this is a step, and it doesn't have to be big, like mine's reading, but is there something that you're thinking about doing? And I think that the tactic, I think I challenge all of us to try and find something that we can do daily, right? It doesn't need to be big. Like if somebody wants to lose weight and never lost weight, I'm going to say, just drink water, like drink X amount of water every day, and just do that for the first month. And we know like the science behind why drinking water. So is there something that you want to work on?
Yeah. So for me, and I'm actually doing it after this call, is deliberately going out to lunch with someone that I haven't in at least a month.
Okay.
Oh,
Try to
cool.
knock that out ideally twice a week. Not nearly as budget friendly, obviously, but yeah, at least once a week. So I have one lockdown right after this call, and then another one tomorrow. So, and again, they're people that I know, so it's not like I'm just like going to meet a stranger. But in the same sense, it's so I have this like almost like a B2B sounding board, which you guys know as well as anyone else how important that is, because you can only like discuss business stuff with someone that can like hear you on that same like wavelength, but there's also like a friendly or like peer derived disposition that they have with me. So there's like this default happy that comes around it too, that can be like hard to find.
Totally. So I think like
Cool.
and I've kind of done stuff, and I'm like doing that, right? Because then you got to look at like, is this sustainable? And this is just me kind of looking at it like from is that going to be sustainable to go out to eat twice a week for the next 12 weeks? Right? Like,
the tactic is not, but I think the end result, you know, I'm chasing, I guess, that end result or the effect of doing that. So that can come from perhaps maybe different avenues or different tactics to get the same end result.
Yeah. So I would say is like try and explore other avenues, and maybe it's like I have something in here and one of mine, and it's for me to become a better coach, I want to spend 30 minutes doing one of the following, right? I'm studying for 2 certs. I'm doing some business marketing kind of education. So I can kind of pick and choose, but I have to pick something. So maybe it's, you know, you have like, maybe it's, you know, texting or being active within this group might count as a 1 for that day, right? Or maybe it's lunch for
Right.
So I just think explore things that you have so you have options. That way, if somebody cancels on you, you know, it's not like, oh, fuck, I didn't get my job done. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I would just think about like building in contingencies about that, which I found to be helpful. And then like in the planner, what I do, and this is just me, is like on that day that say you went out to eat, you can put a comment because it's in Google Sheets. You can like comment and make a little side comment in that cell. And I'll be like, I went out to eat with Josh. We talked about X, Y, and Z. Because I've done this now. I did it for the last quarter. And it's really cool to go back and see not only all the percentages that what you got and where you slipped up, but then be able to look back at the individual day and be like, oh, I talked to Josh 3 weeks ago about this. Maybe I should follow up on that. Or, you know, it's kind of like a journal, if you will. That's kind of how I use that too. So.
Okay, cool. Got it.
Awesome. All right. And then just a real quick, Josh, just cause I know Andre, you don't know Josh, but he runs or Josh, you want to give like your 2-minute kind of spiel real quick of who you are?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure I could do even better than 2 minutes. So Andre, again, brother, yeah, nice to meet you. I am
Nice to meet you, brother.
owner of what's called PT Plus effectively. I'm not sure if do you have Salon Lofts where you are? You know that company?
Mm-mm.
What is it called? No,
Salon
I don't think so.
Lofts by chance? All right. Well, fuck it, scratch that. So basically, what I did, I opened up a facility, and so I was a trainer. I guess I've been training for about 11 years now. Started in college, studied physiology at OU, and as soon as I left, I did the usual. You know, you got to work in the big box gym, right? Because you got to eat shit for a little bit, be in the trenches, and a couple lateral moves, lily pad moves here and there. I eventually saw a big gap in the marketplace, and it was guys that like really cared about physio that were incredibly personal, which are two very important factors in being a successful trainer. And what I think to be the triad would having some level of business acumen. And I don't necessarily come from, that background. Like neither of my parents even finished high school actually. So I had to kind of self-educate over time in terms of business and how things could be as opposed to how they were, because I'm sitting back checking my margins for these sessions, and I'm like, well, I'm burnt the F out by the end of like a 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. day, and you're collecting how much per session? Like thinking about the higher ups at LA Fitness. So I eventually decided to break off, open my own thing where I kind of run it like a barbershop. So think about renting a chair, and you sort of deploy everything that I've learned on anyone that has an ear to lend, because they're effectively all contractors and sort of just renting space. But if you want to learn, I share all of my, like I've hired business coaches, and I've just learned stuff through experience, which is a fancy way of saying I've just fucked up a lot. And anything like that, I've shared with all people. So anyone that walks through those doors, rather. So that is my business as it exists now. And actually one of my coaches put me in touch with Mike, and just prior to his move to Cincinnati, and that's how we have this existential relationship.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so Josh.
Cool. Are you in Cincinnati also?
I am.
You're in Cincinnati. Okay. Cool. Got it.
Yep. Got it. So he owns a spot that I see a lot of my clients. So it's kind of like how Titan was. But he's my Wally. So
cool.
Cool, man. All right. So how we look at we're into Q4 of 2019. So my vision of how we want to approach the next kind of curriculum going into 2020. I mean, it's cliche to say, but like we got to work on ourselves and who we want to be, right? Not like worry about the business yet. Like all that shit's got to come back to us. So we're going to spend the rest of the year kind of on our highly focusing on that self. And now obviously, that self might bleed into being a little more organized. That might fall into your connection goal. But I also want to really look into the finance aspect. Like I know all of us have financial backgrounds, but for me, obviously I love coaching, but I want to have ability to have a financial freedom. That way, maybe, down the road, my wife and I, or, if we have kids, like we're set up for that just in case. So being able to have the stuff that we're doing, create that financial flexibility for us for the rainy days or whatever. Because obviously I know like that if I'm working crazy hours because I need the money, it can weigh out of my relationship. So I think we kind of can see how that's going. So I just want to kind of get like a heads up and see how confident are people right now in their growth plans, not just with like the personal finance, but really like the self. Like, is this something that you guys are like, I could really work on becoming better, not in terms of like an athlete or a coach, but a better person, whether inside your own home or outside? And that's more just like,
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was talking to you a little bit before these guys hopped on. I think this whole plan is a great way to actually put stuff onto paper and kind of force you to do better than just kind of thinking about it. Because I'm sure that all of us think about all these things on a daily basis, but how often do you actually do something about it? I think it's fantastic. I mean, for me, in terms of the financial, that's what I really want to key in on. I just have not really financially been in a position to do so because we opened October 2017. Literally all of my money has been sitting in the gym for the last 2 years now. Thankfully, we're at a point now where every member that we get is pretty much money in our pocket. So we're going to, like, once we really turn the corner, we're at like 170 something members right now. Once we hit 200, it's going to start being really nice. Once we hit 250, it's going to be really nice. 300 is crazy. 400 is like, I don't have to do anything anymore if I don't want to, kind of money.
Right, yeah.
So things are really now starting to build in that direction. So most of my goals are not necessarily me trying to do a quick fix to the business, because I know that, like, it's organically going to happen. We're averaging, like 10, 15 new members a month. So it's going to happen. So mainly what I want to do in mine is kind of set myself up for success, so that when we are crazy busy, I have my systems in place. I'm kind of working at maximum efficiency with my downtime, because I imagine that, yes, I will have some more free time. So I'll probably be able to hire some more coaches, but I want to kind of have everything in place for that time when things are really busy. And then my challenge at that point will kind of be do I have faith to shift X amount of my classes to someone else, and are they going to be able to deliver and carry forward in my vision? So I guess I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I do like this whole program, and I think it's going to help me be better at everything. So I'm cool with it.
Awesome.
Yeah, Mike, I think also this is a great place to start, because we can completely jump into, hey, let's just focus on the business or what you're doing for the business. But I think focusing on self, number one, and then focusing on finance, because it's a topic that not a lot of people like to talk about, especially when you're struggling with it. And what you're trying to do here with this platform and bringing new people on, I'm going to guess most of them are going to be either coaches that are really struggling, trying to figure out what direction they're going to take, or fitness entrepreneurs like ourselves that are either, business owners or doing the online thing and trying to figure it out. So I think this is a good place to start, especially if we lead by example and go through the growth plan. And then when new people are coming in, they're seeing like, dude, these guys, like, I look up to Andre, dude, the guy is crushing it. I look up to you. I don't know much about Josh, but just from hearing him talk, like, you guys, I look up to. I aspire to be more like you guys, which is why I'm in this group. So bringing people on board, they're struggling either with themselves and who they are and what they're trying to do, or financially. When they jump in on this platform and they see that that's where we started and that's what it takes to get to where you want to go, they're going to get the most bang for their buck. They're going to get their value, and this thing can totally grow. And I think it's a great place to start. So awesome. Great work.
Hell yeah. Cool. So that being said, I posted in there the book of the month. I'm not sure if you guys read The Alchemist. It's a pretty short read. But it's definitely, it's a fictional story, but it kind of takes back in like the 1800s, 1900s. It's just a really cool book because it has a lot of good principles, and a lot of it is about finding like self and kind of it's hard to describe, but I highly recommend reading it. And that's kind of where I want to start with it. And then the next books are going to kind of go into, like, have you ever heard of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Is a great kind of like foundational money book. Seeing your wealth and all that stuff, and kind of like the different avenues. Richest Man in Babylon. So these are all listed on there. So we're going to kind of start there. And those are just some supplemental readings. So we might spend some time in the meetings kind of just saying, hey, what's one thing you picked up from this, one thing you picked from that. But I really, if you haven't read The Alchemist, have any of you guys read it yet?
I've
not yet.
No.
I think I read it in high school. Yeah,
it's a really good book. It's basically like a young man starting, and he's finding his journey. He's looking for something, and he's searching his whole life. And then, it kind of like ends with like there's, understanding what you're searching for. So it's kind of like every man's quest of who they want to be and what they want to become. And the message is kind of cool at the end. So we're going to do that stuff. So, based on the strengths and insight, I do believe we have a really cool background, right? Because like Andre, obviously you were like running a highly successful business. You have a lot of that finance background, right? Where somebody as Josh, who's also running a really successful business, had to learn a lot of that in his own. So I feel like it's cool to bounce off of each other. My brother could be on here, and Dario is also a gym owner. He knows Mike Barbeau. He's out in San Fran, and he's building a gym. So he's kind of like at like in between your guys' sizes. but he's much more newer to it. So he's had a lot of good success, but now he's kind of trying to get over the hump. So I really think that we all can really bounce a lot of good ideas off each other. My brother, you guys met him last time. He is not in fitness per se, but he was able to take certain positions because his finances, he had a lot of financial freedom, so he was able to take risk. But he started the same way I started, like didn't come from like money, was a teacher making like 20K and couldn't make it work. So he kind of had to figure shit out to where now he's using different avenues to have passive income. And it's all pretty stuff that I've even adopted into my life to just try and set myself up to be able to take an 80% price cut when I leave New York City to, as some of you guys know, like I'm not writing anymore. So it's like in a different position, but having that stability. So I think those are big things that he can help weigh in on. And then obviously, at some point when we go into the new year, I want to be able to obviously have good coach talks and talk about what are you doing, Andre, that you can get those 15 new clients in the month, or how are you taking, your high intensity CrossFit methodologies and putting them into a digestible format for everyone to benefit from. So I think there's a lot of cool talks we can do. So that's kind of where my vision of this is going over the next 3 months, is really focusing on this and then expanding from that. So I think I went through almost everything here in terms of like the book of the month, the growth plans, the Q4 kind of vision, and then obviously opening up 2020 and going into having that, all of us having like a personal, I don't know what to call it, but I kind of said like a personal financial freedom strategy, right? So Andre, like when those new members do come in and you get that extra money coming in, just what avenue do you have set up where you can put that, right? And maybe that's back in or that's investing it into something that, instead of sitting in a bank account, it's making 3%, right? Like little things like that start to grow.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like for me, the goal once we start making money is I want to keep living like I'm living now. Like obviously I want to have a little bit of fun, but I want to keep like I pay myself $3,000 a month, and I've been doing that since we opened in October 2017. So my goal is to try to keep living at that level, maybe increase my expenditure a little bit with some fun stuff that Sinead and I can do together. But the goal is just to start saving that money. And my next means of income outside of the gym is I want to get into real estate, because it's just, there's a reason that orange motherfucker's in the presidency right now, because his family has a shit ton of stuff that they own. And I want to create something for my family where for generations to come, we can own some shit, and just create some actual wealth instead of just working for someone else.
Yeah.
So
my brother would be a pretty good dude to talk to. He went from having nothing to having like 3 units. And he still works. I mean, it's not like a get rich scheme. Like there's different ways you can do real estate. He's doing it obviously as like an investment where, 20 years from now or 15 years down the road. But cool. Well, that's all I got, guys. It was I wanted to kind of make this pretty efficient. I like to stay under like 45. Obviously, as these things grow. Holly, you got anything to add?
She's smiling.
He's like, this is a good talk. I'm good.
Yeah, she's like, good talk, guys. Good talk.
Cool, dudes. Well, I think that's all I got, man. Like, once again, we got different avenues where you guys can connect and talk. So I suggest like just reaching out and maybe jumping on a call and just kind of meeting with, maybe Josh, talk with one person, and that could be part of your plan.
Right, exactly.
So, well, let's try and have our plans, kind of take some more time, critically think about it. And sorry, Chris. Critically think about it and post those plans by Sunday night. Let's start giving each other feedback on it, and we'll kind of go from there.
Hey, actually, real quick, Josh, what's the point of you doing the lunches again? Is it a business thing or is it just a personal thing?
It's likely, I would best describe it as a hybrid of both. And the genesis of it was being around other personal friends that are also in business. And for me, noticing the difference in how I felt throughout the conversation, as opposed to feeling, it's just different to have someone understand that, my priorities aren't necessarily always like having the right answer, but being able to stand behind the reason that I provide the answers I do. And then whether or not they're right or, a bit up to chance, but when you have conversations with people that on a more personal level, I think there's a different layer of relativity there than
Yeah.
someone where it's like it can be like almost entirely commercially transactional, like in
Yeah.
conversation at least. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just asking because I know I totally agree that doing it face to face in person is makes it a big difference. But I mean, dude, if it might limit you from hitting the numbers you want, like being able to check that off on the growth plan, like, oh, I only did one meeting this week, or I didn't get any because I didn't have time. Like maybe a phone call could work too. You know, even though it
Right.
seems a little impersonal, but just to make sure that you're hitting that number, that goal.
Or even
Something
even
as simple as-
even Zoom calls. Like, I mean, this is with one-on-ones or even one-on like twos. It's free. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you can just send them a link and call, and it's right on your phone, or FaceTime, whatever it is.
This is pretty personal. I mean, I don't do this shit with anybody else. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Word
I'll
up.
talk to anybody on the phone.
No, I get that, and I definitely, Chris, definitely appreciate the sentiments on that. I totally get it, and I absolutely intend to use you guys in that same regard as a resource, as like a
Cool.
sounding board. You know, like even after this, I think everyone might be added into that Instagram chat. You know, I might end up just hitting you up on there, just I don't know, for no other reason, or just like shooting you a video message of some sort. You know.
Yeah,
Awesome.
there's avenues for you guys to just connect. So cool. All right, dudes. Well, appreciate the time. And once again, we're gonna try and make this 11 o'clock on Thursdays. See if we can't just make this a standing. It's kind of a good time for most people. So
Is that
It works for me.
Is that the standing link?
yeah, this link should be the same link every time.
Okay.
And it's
All right.
and it's in the I'll put it in every video call link. But if you go to the start here, it's in the start here guide, all that stuff. So it should work. So cool.
Cool.
All right, guys. Have
Trying
a
to
good
get my
day.
boy
Cool.
to sign up.
All right. See you guys.
Barbell CEO.
Get it,
See you
kid.
guys.
Do it.
All right. We'll see
Do
you
it.
guys
All right. See you guys.
later.
Bye, guys.